Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Sankarshan, Priya, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, devotees, welcome all of you for the today's morning program, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And we are very fortunate to have His Grace Sankarshan Priya Prabhu, and Prabhu will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 23rd chapter, verses 15 and 16. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji. I will do a small kirtan, then we can start reciting the sloka. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Jananandana, Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Jananandana, Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjanashalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri chaitanya manobishtam sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsham He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpata Rubjasya Kripa Sindho Bhyayevacha Patita Nama Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. I would like to seek all of your blessing and prayers so that I can speak in the line of disciplic succession and do not deviate from the Guru Parampara. I am not qualified to talk about this exalted subject matter, but as a matter of service to serve the devotees, I just want to share what I read, what I heard, what I attempted to understand across these verses and translations and purport. Hare Krishna. So we will be reciting sloka number 15 from Canto 4, chapter number 23 and sloka number 16. These two slokas are scheduled today. I will read these slokas and then word by word translation and then the translation purport, and then I will read also the sloka number 16 followed by translation and purport. Then I will share what I heard and what I understood. Utsarpayam stutam murdhni kramenaveshya nisprihah vayum vayau chutau kayam tejas tejasya yujat. Word by word translation. Utsarpayan, thus placing, tu, but, tam, the air, murdhni, on the head, kramena, gradually, aveshya, placing, nishprihaha, being freed from all material desires, vayum, the air portion of the body, vayau, in the total air covering the universe, kshitau, in the total covering of earth, kayam, this material body, tejaha, the fire in the body, tejasi, the total fire of the material coverings, ayu yujat, mixed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhuji, you can move on to the next slide.
Yes, Prabhu, is it translation only, right?
Yes, now I can see here. Yeah. Translation. In this way, Pṛthu Mahārāja gradually raised his air of life up to the hole in the skull, whereupon he lost all desire for material existence. Gradually, he merged his air of life with the totality of air, his body with the totality of earth, and the fire within his body with the totality of fire. Purport. When the spiritual spark, which is described as 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair, is forced into the material existence, that spark is covered by gross and subtle material elements. The material body is composed by 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and ego. When one attains liberation, he is freed from these material coverings. Indeed, success in yoga involves getting free from these material coverings and entering into spiritual existence. Lord Buddha's teaching of nirvana are based on this principle. Lord Buddha instructed his followers to give up these material coverings by means of meditation and yoga. Lord Buddha did not give any information about the soul, but if one follows his instructions strictly, he will ultimately become free from material coverings and attain nirvana. The next slide, please, Prabhuji. When a living entity gives up the material coverings, he remains a spirit soul. This spirit soul must enter into spiritual sky to merge into the Brahman Effulgence. Unfortunately, unless the living entity has information of the spiritual world and the Vaikunthas, there is 99.9% chance of his falling down again into the material existence. There is, however, a small chance of being promoted to spiritual planet from the Brahman Effulgence or Brahmajyoti. This Brahmajyoti is considered by impersonalists to be without variety, and the Buddhists considered it to be void. In either case, whether one accepts the spiritual sky as being without variety or void, there is none of the spiritual bliss which is enjoyed in the spiritual planets, the Vaikunthas or the Krishna Loka. In the absence of varieties of enjoyment, the spirit soul gradually feels an attraction to enjoy a life of bliss. And not having any information of Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha Loka, he naturally falls down to the material activities in order to enjoy material varieties. Sloka number 16. Kanyakashe dravam toye yatastanam vibhagashah shitimambasi tat tejas yado vayau nabasyamum. Translation, word to word translation. Kani, the different holes in the body of sense organs. Akashe, in the sky. Dravam, the liquid substance. Toye, the water. Yatasthanam, according to proper situation. Vibhagashaha, as they are divided. Shithim, earth. Ambasi, in the water. Tat, that. Tejasi, in the fire. Adaha, the fire. Vayav, in the air. Nabasi, in the sky. Amum, that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this way, according to the different positions of the various parts of the body, Pṛthu Mahārāja merged the holes of his senses with the sky. His bodily liquids such as blood and various secretions with the totality of water, and he merged earth with water, and then water with fire, fire with air, air with sky, and so on. Purport. In this verse, two words are very important. Yatasthanam vibhagashaha. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter, Lord Brahma clearly explained to Narada how the creation took place. And he explained one step after another the proper divisions of the senses, the controller of the senses, the objects of the senses, and the material elements. And he also explained how they are created one after another. The air from the sky, the fire from the air, the water from the fire, the earth from the water, etc. It is important to know thoroughly the process of creation as it applies to this cosmic manifestation. Similarly, this body also is created according to the same process by the Supreme Lord. The personality of Godhead, after entering the universe, creates the cosmic manifestation one after another. Similarly, the living entity, after entering a womb of a mother, also collects its gross and subtle bodies, taking ingredients from totality of sky, air, fire, water, and earth. The words Yatasthanam vibhagashaha indicates that one should know the process of creation and should meditate upon the creative process inversely and thus become free from material contamination. Hare Krishna. Again, I seek all the devotees' blessings here. So, the last several weeks, we have been studying the life of Pṛthu Mahārāja. So, I just want to explain a little bit of background and context here. So, Pṛthu Mahārāja, throughout his life, he lived a glorious life and really demonstrated the real art of living. He performed his duty perfectly as a king by protecting all his subjects. When the citizens were telling him that they don't have enough grains to eat, though they worked hard, they were not able to produce enough grain, Pṛthu Mahārāja chastised Mother Earth and asked Mother Earth to release all the resources. And then the citizens, when they worked hard and they were able to produce all the grains. Not only that, Pṛthu Mahārāja performed his devotional service perfectly and also set the role model for the citizens so that they can also follow the path of devotional service. And during the course of time, when Pṛthu Mahārāja was conducting the Ashwamedha Yajna, and when he was conducting the 100th Ashwamedha Yajna, when Lord Indra was stealing the horse and Pṛthu Mahāraja was about to punish him, Lord Brahma intervened and asked him to stop his yajna, because the 100th yajna that is being performed by Pṛthu Maharaj actually was threatening Indra. So Lord Brahma advised Pṛthu Maharaj to stop his 100th yajna. So Pṛthu Maharaja humbly accepted this stop from performing 100th yajna, stopped performing 100th yajna. And then later Lord Vishnu also appeared by being pleased with Pṛthu Maharaj's humble attitude, and also he told him that I accept your 99 yajna as 100 yajna. And then later 4 Kumaras descended to the assembly of Pṛthu Maharaj, and they provided all the blessings and also the instructions. So Pṛthu Maharaj very nicely welcomed them and accepted the instruction from them. And then also Pṛthu Maharaj spoke to his citizens and provided his instructions. So, and then the last week, the devotees beautifully explained on the different topics, like the importance of human life. And then His Grace Kalachak Prabhu also spoke about how the process of Bhakti Yoga is actually encompassing everything. So when somebody is following Bhakti Yoga, so he actually achieved his perfection in the life, so because it includes every other process. So we heard that. And Pṛthu Maharaj, he also demonstrated in the last 15 or 20 verses, 15 verses, we saw that how he actually accomplished the duties, but he was very much detached from his duties. And when the time came, he immediately relinquished his kingdom, and he made his son as the king, and he left to the forest. He took Vanaprasthashram and he left for forest to perform tapasya following the principles of Ashtanga Yoga. So thus he demonstrated the perfect renunciation, because he was always detached when he was performing his duty. He was able to relinquish when the time came. So the act that was done by Pṛthu Maharaj is actually liberation. It's not death actually. Pṛthu Maharaj is actually incarnation of the Lord. So he appeared and disappeared from this world. So when he was present here, he performed all the duties perfectly as the king. Though he was not obliged, but he performed all the duties as a king, because he wanted to set the role model to all his citizens. So similarly, when he left the kingdom by relinquishing his kingdom, again he set a role model to all his citizens, how one should actually move from Grahasthashram to Vanaprasthashram. So coming back to this topic of Pṛthu Maharaj leaving his body, it's actually not death, but it's liberation. Pṛthu Maharaj chose at his will how he wanted to leave this body by following the Ashtanga Yoga process. Whereas the word death, it's for ordinary jivas. So the ordinary jivas, they do not have the will to leave their body at their own wish. They do not have the choice to leave their body at their own will or choice. So when the time comes, the Yamadutas, they actually forcefully take away the soul from the body of the jiva. This is very painful process. Whereas Pṛthu Maharaj, by following the Ashtanga Yoga principles, he was willingly leaving the body and he attained liberation. So that's the big difference between how great devotees like Pṛthu Maharaj, how they leave the body, and ordinary conditioned souls, how they leave the body. For ordinary conditioned souls, it's death, because they do not have the choice. and the soul is pulled away from the body. That's how, their soul is actually detached from the body. Prabhuji, next slide. So that's what we have seen in the last several weeks. So there are two key themes here in this sloka, which I wanted to briefly describe in the available time. The first theme is, what is the purpose of creation and why we should know about it? And the second theme is, why impersonalists, Prabhupada says in the purport, 99.9% they will fall down from the Brahman Effulgence again back to the material world. Why it is so? So these are all the two themes actually I wanted to cover in today's class. So on the first topic, purpose of creation. Lord has created this cosmic manifestation for a specific purpose. It's a specific and definite purpose. It's not that this universe has come into existence just by chance, like through Big Bang or different things that the modern scientists claim. No, that's not true. That's not correct. The Lord has created this universe for a specific purpose. And as long as we willfully follow the instructions of or desires of the Lord and follow the instructions of the acharyas, we will be actually meeting the desires of the Lord and fulfilling the purpose of entire this creation of this universe. So Prabhupada in the purport says that one should know the process of creation and meditate upon it inversely to become free from material contamination. So also Prabhupada states that the process of creation of this cosmic manifestation is similar to the process of living entities appearing in the world. So we saw in the purport, like the universe is manifested when Mahavishnu enters into impregnates the Mahat Tattva, and from there from the 5 elements, and then when the senses are agitated, this entire universe is created. So similarly, when the jiva enters into the mother's womb, and then it actually takes these 5 elements, and then using the subtle body and gross body, the jiva takes the body. So that's how the jiva appears. So there is a similarity between how the cosmic manifestation is created and how the jiva appears in this world. So we so there are different types of jivas or living entities, how they perceive this creation. So essentially, the jivas, when they wanted to enjoy independently from the will of the Lord mercifully created this cosmic universe and made arrangements for the jivas to come down to this material universe and enjoy, try to enjoy their independence and gratify their senses. So Lord was so great, so she actually manifested this universe. So there are certain type of jiva, most of the jivas actually, they fall under this category. So they come down to this material world and they want to enjoy the senses through the object of senses. So when they have millions and millions of desires in their heart, so when their desires come in contact with the sense objects, then they experience happiness, though it is very, very tiny and temporary. They experience some happiness. Again, when the desires do not come in contact with the sense objects, then they get frustrated. And also, they get frustrated because the happiness that they experience is very for short time. And immediately soon after that, they experience misery. So for example, when the when the jiva has a desire to enjoy some food, so when that desire, when that sense object of eating comes in contact with tongue, when they are getting that food that the jiva is desiring, so they experience the happiness for a short time when they when they eat the food. After that, when that food is consumed to too much of quantity, then the body takes a hit. It starts suffering due to indigestion or different types of diseases. So immediately after enjoying the food little bit, the jiva started suffering. So, however, the conditioned souls, they try to fulfill their desires by different ways through these sense objects, through the eyes, through the nose, by smelling, through the tongue, by talking and by eating, through the ears, by hearing, and through the touching sense by touching different objects. So they try to enjoy, but when they are not able to enjoy, or when their enjoyment is very short-lived, they get frustrated. So these conditioned souls, when they get frustrated, then they try to, the modern scientists, they see that, okay, our science is not so advanced. So they conduct so many researches and studies to see how we can extend our sense enjoyment and what facilities I can create so that I can keep on enjoying in this world. They do not realize that this world is actually Dukhalaya Masashvatam, but they keep building big facilities, buildings, factories, big recreation clubs, so that they can continue to enjoy again and again. So we have seen that there are so many inventions made by the scientists in the modern world, but none of them has actually caused happiness. It actually caused more misery. So 100 years back, the man was using bullock cart or horse for transporting from one place to another place. And then they invented the modern engine, the train, and then they invented automobile, and then we invented aircraft. So many automobiles and aircrafts were invented, but that did not provide a further enjoyment to them, but it increased only their misery, because the other problems started coming, like pollution, air pollution, water pollution, all those type of pollution, and the accidents have increased. People lose their life, they get disabled, and they see their relatives losing their life. So they were not able to enjoy it. All the inventions and discoveries, it's actually started increasing the misery. But the conditioned soul really do not realize that. They keep on experimenting to see how I can increase my enjoyment. So this is actually first category of jivas who are conditioned, who try to enjoy their senses through the sense objects all the time. So this is the first category. Most of the jivas are actually falling in this category, and our shastras also tell this. So the second category of people are little advanced. So this category of jivas, they, after going through the happiness and distress and happiness and distress, they get frustrated. They started understanding that this happiness and distress is actually the real cause of misery. So they take the other extreme. The karmis, they take one extreme of actually enjoying everything to the utmost possibility. The next category of people, after some analysis and experience, they realize that this happiness distress is actually short-lived, or they call it as maya or illusion. So they get frustrated. So they started analyzing, and they realized that, oh, this place is of misery, dukhalayam asashvatam. So what they do is they completely reject the sense objects. They restrain themselves completely from all the sense objects, and they perform severe austerities and tapasya. Normally, these people are called as jnanis, and they live away from the normal population. They live away from the society. They live in the forest and they perform severe austerities and tapasya. But they maintain only the minimal contact with the sense objects, like for their keeping their breathe in the body, for keeping the life force within the body. They just do minimum breathing, and they eat only that much that is needed for sustaining the life force within their body. They drink only water, they eat little bit of vegetables, roots and fruits. They reject all other type of delicious food, because they think that that is cause of their misery. So this is the second category of people. They are little advanced, but still not quite advanced. So their objective is to completely stay away from the sense object, completely be detached from the sense objects, and they do meditation and tapasya to get liberated from their from this material world. So liberation from the material world is their goal. So this is the second category of people. So there is a third category of people. So this category of people, they don't mind coming in contact with the sense objects, but they don't. Their intention is not to enjoy the senses and sense objects, but their motive is to put the sense object in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada used an excellent word, dovetailing the senses in the service of the Lord, because they understand that Krishna is the real enjoyer. So for example, if we have to quote an example of a mango, well ripened mango, the first category of people, karmis, they eat the mango, eat as much as they can, and then they start storing the mango so that they can eat it in the future, they can give to their relatives and friends. And then they become sick because they consume the mango excessively. So that's the first category. The second category of people, jnanis, they just reject the mangoes because they know that this mango or sweet, though it's going to give little happiness, but it's going to cause misery later. So they completely reject that. The third category of people, the devotees, they actually accept the mango, but they offer it to the Lord, and they offer it as a bhoga, and then they accept it as prasadam, and then they honor the prasadam, because they know that they do not reject the sense objects, because they know that this sense objects can be used as the tool to serve Krishna, please Krishna, and love Krishna. So for example, the devotees, they love the Lord. So using their senses, and they engage their sense objects, like they sing kirtans to please the Lord. They glorify the Lord through their tongue, and they play music, and they hear only Krishna Katha, and they use like this. They actually use their senses and engage the senses in the sense objects to please Krishna. They prepare nice bhoga and offer to the Lord. So thus they engage their senses, dovetail their senses in the service of the Lord. So they know that in this conditioned material life, the senses can be engaged to express their loving sentiments towards the Lord. They are certainly advanced category because they know how to engage the senses and sense objects in the service of the Lord to express their love. And also they know how to, even if you have so many modern inventions, they know how to engage them in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada, in his time, he actually led by that example to engage all the modern devices at that time, like the dictaphone, mic, speakers, recorders, everything was engaged in the service of the Lord. So similarly, Prabhupada's disciples and his grand disciples, they actually engage the modern invention in the service of the Lord so that they can actually use them as a tool. They do not reject it. So like this, when the devotee keep on engaging everything they have, including their property, wealth, relatives, possessions, belongings, they engage everything, including their time. They engage everything in the service of the Lord, so that in this process, they also enjoy bliss and they attain liberation. Though liberation was not their motive, but it happens so naturally. So we also heard during the last week class that for devotees, actually, the goal and means both are relishable and enjoyable. So they are blissful. But there are one more category of people who are very advanced. These category of souls, jivas, they see everything in the creation, not just keeping themselves as center, but see that Krishna wants loving exchanges from the jivas in this creation. So they see that this creation is not just for reformation, not for enjoyment, it's not a prison for punishment, it's not just a prison for punishment, but they see that the whole purpose of creation is that because Krishna wants loving exchanges from the jivas, because Krishna is a person with all the rasas, with all emotions. He wants all loving exchanges with his devotee. He's a rasa vigraha, he's the embodiment of all rasas. So when the jiva gives back this love to Lord, they get the bonus of love from the Lord. So if I have to quote an example, the father has money in his wallet. So when the father gives money to the children or child, the child when uses that little bit of money and gets a gift and present that as a birthday gift to the father, it pleases the Lord, it pleases the father. Though the money actually belongs to the father, but when the child is actually using that and presents that as a gift to the father, father is really pleased. So the father doesn't see the purchasing value of the gift. Actually, he sees the love of the child in that act of gift, which he sees that as very precious. Similarly, everything in the universe belongs to the Lord. So when the jiva actually uses the resources in the service of the Lord, because the jiva knows that the Lord is looking for loving exchanges. So in that mood, when he serves, the Lord is really pleased. So we see that pure when with those type of devotees, the relationship of the Lord with the devotees is completely different. The Lord becomes very much dependent on those devotees, and he is bound by the love of the devotees, and he actually is ready to do anything and everything for those devotees. So we see that in the Vrindavan, how Krishna accepts himself to be bound by the love of Mother Yashoda. The Damodar Leela, we saw that. Similarly, how Krishna plays with Gopas and he was ready to take all the chastisement from his friend like a normal person. And also we see the dealings with gopis, how he is actually accepting the chastisement and loving exchanges with gopis. And also we saw how Krishna was even ready to become a charioteer to Arjuna. So this is a very high advanced level of loving exchange between the Lord and devotees. So these category of devotees, they are pure devotees. And these devotees, they do everything to the Lord. They do not enjoy the senses or sense objects, but they make their sense and sense objects as an instrument of the Lord so that Lord can enjoy the senses and sense objects. So whatever they do, or whenever whatever they do, it's actually the only intention is that Lord should be pleased. So that is their goal. That is their mood all the time. And they see that is the purpose of the creation, so that Lord can receive the love from the devotees. And for them, everything is spiritual. There is no material world. For them, everything is spiritual. Wherever these pure devotees go, that place becomes Vaikuntha. Wherever these devotees go, that place becomes Holy Dham. So our Srila Prabhupada, he traveled all over the world. So wherever he went, that place, he established a temple and he made that place as Goloka or Vaikuntha, because he made few devotees across the world. So these devotees, they know that the only purpose of creation is to give this Lord love to the Lord. So they pray to the Lord every day, "Oh my Lord, I am yours. Please use me in your service." So our Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas, they teach this to us through the process of our chanting. So whenever we start our morning program, so we do Mangalarati, we do Tulsi prayer, we perform Guru Arati. The mood is that, "Oh Lord, please engage me in your service." That is the mood. At the condition stage, at the sadhaka stage, for people like me, it may look like very mundane and routine because I don't find the taste in doing this. But we need to remember this purpose of creation, why I am here. The Lord is actually really looking for our love. And that's why, out of his mercy, he descended as Archa Vigraha. So he descended as Lord Jagannath in our temple. And soon he will be descending as Radhe Krishna in our temple. So he is actually waiting for us to show our love. He is actually waiting for our loving reciprocation. So it is for me to engage my senses, sense objects completely, so that when I'm doing my daily morning prayer, I'm fully involved. When I perform my Guru prayer, when I perform the Mangalarati, when I do my chanting, when I recite my Sikshashtakam prayer, the Lord wants our heart. So there is a small story related to this. There was a child who was loving his father very much. The father works hard in the office and he gets back to work every day late in the night. So one day the child was inquiring, "Oh father, you are working so hard. How much money you are getting per hour?" The father was really surprised by that question. And then he was a little upset with that question, and he was chastising the child. The child started weeping and goes away. But after a little while, the father realizes that he chastised the child for no reason. And then he inquires the child and seeks forgiveness, and he inquires the child, "Okay, what do you want? Why you are asking this question?" So, and then father tells, "I'm, earning so and so rupee. Let's say that the father said that he is earning $80 per hour or 10,000 rupees per hour." So the child asked, "Oh, my father, my dear father, can you give me $30 to me?" Father was really surprised. "Why you are asking for $30? And then he gives $30 or 3,000 rupees. And then the child pulls out the $50 what he has in pockets and then puts together $80 and then gives back to the father. "Father, here is that $80 I have. So can you please spend 1 hour with me?" The father was really, really shocked because the child really wanted time from the father. But the father, thinking that working hard in the office, of course, that is needed, but he was not giving time to his child. Similarly, the Lord really looks for our time, the quality time. So we spend 3 or 4 hours or 2 hours in the morning, but the Lord really looking forward to our quality time during our morning sadhana. He's waiting every day when this jiva is going to put his or her heart quality with me during the 2 or 3 or 4 hours. He's waiting for us. So really I pray to the Lord and all the devotees that I spend that quality time, whatever the time I spend, 2 or 3 or 4 hours during my morning prayers, my sadhana, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. I want to be fully with the Lord, engaging my all the senses during that 3 hours so that I can feel a little bit of taste in this devotional service. And when we do that in that mood, we will see the reciprocation from the Lord. That's what all our acharyas say. So that is one topic I really wanted to discuss. I think we have little short time. I will quickly cover the other topic. So why the impersonalists are likely to fall down from the Brahman Effulgence or from the Brahmajyoti. So these jnanis or impersonalists, when they go to the Brahmajyoti, they merge with the Brahmajyoti because they rejected all the sense objects. But when they go there, they don't find any relationship. There are no dealings with other jivas because Brahmajyoti is full of effulgence. There is no rasa. But the jiva's nature is to be in relationship and enjoy the different rasas, and the jiva wants to be really blissful. Though the jiva attained liberation by rejecting all the sense objects, they don't see any real happiness. Of course, this is much better than the material happiness. The Acharya says that the material happiness is like a tiny of water drop, whereas the happiness attained through this liberation is kind of a water in the calf print, foot of the calf print. So certainly it is much better than the material enjoyment, but still that is not the real enjoyment that the jiva is looking for, because the jiva doesn't have any idea about the higher realms like Vaikuntha or Goloka or what kind of happiness exists there. So after certain time, the jiva again becomes frustrated. Most of the jivas, like Prabhupada says, 99.9% of the jivas fall from Brahmajyoti again back to the material world looking for happiness there. That's why the impersonalist likely to fall down from the Brahman Effulgence. So going on to the next slide about the personal application, what we can really learn from this. So the devotional service is full of personalism. We are dealing with people. The deities are person. Deity is a person. So when we are offering the bhoga, our mood should be that we are offering to the person, like how we feed our child. In the same mood, we should be offering bhoga to Lord Jagannath or the deities, whatever the Lord, Nitai Gauranga, Radha Krishna, or whatever the deities that we have at home. That should be our mood. So our deity worship should be in that mood. When we are sitting and chanting in the morning of that day, we should feel that Harinam is actually sound incarnation of the Lord. When we are chanting, the Lord is coming and dancing in the tongue. So our mood should be that we are actually having personal association with the Harinam Prabhu. That should be our mood, because the bhakti is all of personalism. So Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj used to say that we have very, very high philosophy. No other sampradaya has such a high philosophy. But we have to be extremely sensitive when we are dealing with devotees. So if you see Mayavada philosophy, their philosophy is the poison that's covered with sugar coating. Whereas our philosophy is real nectar. But if we are really impersonal in our dealings, and if you are really insensitive in our dealings with the newcomers or with other devotees, we may really end up giving this nectar covered with coating of poison. So that is the real danger. So we have to be really, really cautious in dealing with our devotees, and we have to be fully absorbed in our the morning routine that Prabhupada, I wouldn't call it as routine, morning sadhana that our acharyas and Prabhupada has given to us. So we have to be fully absorbed. I'm telling to myself because all the devotees are very senior to me. They are all having this experience. Whatever I say, the personal application is to me. So I have to be fully engaged in the morning program so that Lord is pleased with our endeavor and we can start feeling the reciprocation of the Lord. That is the personal application I believe we should apply. I should apply and understand the purpose of creation, why we are here. We are here to feel the love and exchange a loving reciprocation with the Lord and give the love to all others. There are so many jivas waiting. They are really suffering. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj used to say that so many people are actually waiting. They want just good role model in the society. So when they see good role model in the society who are able to balance the spiritual, material life and family responsibilities so nicely, they get inspiration. Oh, okay, this is not for some, exalted people. This bhakti or devotional service, it's for me. They should be able to get connected with that. So that is the objective. So coming back to the summary, so we saw how Pṛthu Maharaj actually lived the real art of living and he demonstrated the real art of living. So he taught us how to live, how to live. And then we saw what is the purpose of creation. And also we saw the 4 categories of jiva who experience this creation from different dimensions. We saw that karmis and then jnanis, and then we saw the sadhaka devotees, the 3rd category, and then we saw 4th category, which is pure devotees. And also we saw why impersonalists, they are likely to fall from the Brahmajyoti or Brahman Effulgence back to the material world, and also explained some of the personal application, practical application that I should apply in my day-to-day life so that I can start feeling their love, reciprocate the love with the Lord and understand, realize the purpose of creation. So with that, I would like to end today's class. If I know that I have spoken beyond my realization and capability. I seek forgiveness to all the devotees if I have committed any error or mistakes. If you find any worthful points, all the glories to Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and grand disciples through whom I heard this knowledge. Hare Krishna. Looking forward to correction and comments from devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thanks a lot for the very, very wonderful class. And as usual, like you always give some themes, and at the end you say, you will also give the practical applications in our life. So like you mentioned that how Pṛthu Maharaj demonstrated art of living and art of living. And the key themes you mentioned was purpose of creation. So there you mentioned there are 4 kinds of jivas, which you summarized at the end. And why the impersonalist likely fall down. And you mentioned that even the scientists are putting a lot of effort to extend the sense gratification, but it is at the end leading to the more misery than it was, because they don't know the quality of this universe, that Dukkhalayam Asasvitam. And you have mentioned that in the 4th category, 3rd category and 4th category, sadhaka devotees and pure devotees. So everything they engage, including senses, sense objects, everything they engage in the service of the Lord. They know that this universe is for the pleasure of the Lord. So they start loving the Lord and offering bhoga and like that. And you mentioned that like we should always remember the purpose of creation why am I here? And we should know that like Krishna is waiting for our love to show. And if you want to, if we do that, then we should all engage our senses in the service of the Lord, so that like we should give the quality time for Krishna. I mean, it is very heartening today hearing that like I don't even spend like even for during chanting also I try to do some material things on the sideways without concentrating. But
That's the case with me also.
the point that you mentioned is Krishna is really looking for our quality time. So at least we should engage in our morning thing very qualitatively with Krishna, so that Krishna gets pleased, and then we should he reciprocates with us. It was really heart touching, Prabhuji. Like at least try to improve that. It was really wonderful class, and also I think some devotees mentioned that Rukmini Ramakrishna Prabhu mentioned excellent reviews of creation, and Malini Sundari Mataji mentioned that very fortunate to take your association, praying that someday I may imbibe your wonderful Vaishnava spirit and sincerity. Prasadesa Krishna Prabhu mentioned very nice class, Prabhuji, real nectar. And Saraswati Revolution Prabhu also mentioned amazing class. Saraswati Mataji mentioned thanks for the clear explanation about the knowledge that everyone should know. Thank you, Prabhuji. It was really wonderful class, and devotees lines are already unmuted, so devotees
All
can.
glory to Srila Prabhupada. I just try to repeat what I hear, Prabhuji. I do not possess any of these qualities. I'm just trying, and I seek all the blessings and the prayers of the devotees so that I can at least imbibe some of these qualities. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think every day we should reflect how much quality time we spent with the Lord during chanting, how much time, so that like next day we try to improve. It was really heartening thing for me, Prabhuji, for today. Lakshmi Mataji wanted to ask something. Hare Krishna Mataji, you can unmute and ask.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Pranam.
Lakshmi Mataji, you raise the hand. Any other devotee who wants to ask questions or
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji.
Class was very nice, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, as usual, wonderful class.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji.
Art of living and art of leading, but the way you explained that it was very touching, and your practical applications are very, very helpful, and it guides us through. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Please pray for me so that I can follow what I speak. Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu, for spending quality time, like what are your things that you suggest? Because like most of things, like when we do the material things, it is obvious that we don't think of the, devotional life. But when we do the devotional life, obviously all material things like get surfaced in our mind, and then we'll not be able to concentrate. So what are the things that you do, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji, I will try to share what I heard. One thing I used to hear Radhesham Prabhu's class often, and also other senior Vaishnavas class. So what they say is that we have to take the association of who actually follows this. So some of the recommendations from these senior Vaishnavas and devotees are that we should at least go to temple at least once in a week, attend complete morning program along with devotees, because in that mood, in that because in temple there will be so many sincere devotees who will be following this. So by going there and being present there for Mangala Arati to the entire morning program, we actually take the association, and knowingly or unknowingly that comes inside us, Prabhuji. We at least start thinking that, okay, I should try to do this at my home when I am practicing this at home. That is the recommendation from all the instruction from all the senior Vaishnavas, Prabhuji. I try this, but still, I'm failing and I'm not consistent here. And with respect to the other sadhana, the most important one is our chanting, Prabhuji. So our chanting has to be of really high quality. So for that, I think there are so many. It's a wide topic. I hear classes from different devotees. They are giving a lot of tapes. And one of the important thing, Prabhuji, attentive chanting, how we can do it is, again, they say that be in association of devotees and do the chanting. So again, they say that, going to temple and doing Mangalarti and doing chanting along with them, that's going to really help improving the quality of chanting. Apart from that, in our DCS also, this topic was discussed. Grace Rukmini Rangakrishna Prabhu was leading this discussion. So the devotees shared several points. One of them is the reason why we don't feel the taste, at least I don't feel that taste in chanting, is because knowingly or unknowingly, we are committing Vaishnava Aparadha. So that is one reason why I don't feel that chanting, the taste in chanting. And there were several tips that devotees have shared. Some of the tips are like, before we start our chanting, we have to follow the temple program. So in the temple, before we start the chanting, we actually recite Chikshashtakam, and then we read one page from the Prabhupada book. I think I forgot the name of the book. I think it is on holy name, the importance of holy name. We read that. The senior devotees like Mahatma Prabhu and other senior devotees, they actually do that 3 minutes of quality reading to reflect the purpose of chanting. Why I am chanting today? What is the purpose of chanting? So they actually ask us to do this reflection every day. We read something and then we should reflect and then we should chant. So when we do that regularly, the senior devotees say that our quality of chanting will gradually improve, because everything starts with chanting, Prabhuji. So if our chanting is of good quality, naturally, all our morning process will be also, the quality will go up. That's my understanding from what I hear. It's not that I'm doing that. I'm trying, Prabhuji. I'm failing, and I'm failing. Sometimes I'm able to do, so I'm struggling, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
I
you,
make a
Prabhuji.
comment? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please, Prabhuji. Please correct me, Prabhuji.
No, I'm not correcting. See, the thing you are talking about, chanting, association, all you said, yes, it adds to improvement. But the meaning of Hare Krishna mantra itself is, please engage me in the service. You may come to the temple, but when you don't do any service as such, practical devotion of some kind of service to Vaishnavas, that will transform more. You will get the taste more and more. So suppose you're chanting at home, many times you may do service, may not. But when you come to the Lord's place, you're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra every time. You're telling, please engage me in service. And if you don't do practical, then that will actually kind of an impediment. I don't say all the time, but the final examination is that only where we go to the spiritual, we have to do service. So unless you don't bind with the practical application, so that will add to better attraction to the Lord or to the holy name. Just my small realization.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's very important. I did not tell that. I think it's very important. It's like we are doing theoretical aspect and then the practical application. So it's like experiment. When we do devotional service, like what Prabhuji has said, we go through a lot of realizations. Whatever we read or studied, that is actually reflected through those realizations when we do that devotional service in the temple. We take some responsibility for certain area. So, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for bringing that important point.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I think due to time constraint, we can end the class with Vaishnava Pranam, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo
Evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Jai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class, and thanks all the participants.